A child vanishes from a holiday resort, sparking one of the biggest investigations in history. On May 3rd, 2007, 3-year-old Madeleine McCann was on vacation with her family in Praia da Luz, a seaside resort in Portugal. That evening, her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, put Madeleine and her younger siblings to bed in their apartment before heading to a nearby restaurant with friends. They checked in periodically throughout the night, until around 10 p.m., when Kate returned and discovered Madeleine was gone. The disappearance triggered an international firestorm. Police and volunteers scoured the area, while the Portuguese authorities launched one of the largest investigations the country had ever seen. The media frenzy quickly turned the case into front-page news worldwide, with Madeleine's photograph becoming instantly recognizable across continents. Yet from the beginning, the case was riddled with contradictions and confusion. Witnesses offered conflicting accounts of suspicious individuals seen near the apartment. Initial leads pointed toward potential kidnappers or burglars, but nothing solid materialized. At times, suspicion even turned toward the McCanns themselves, though no evidence ever substantiated claims of family involvement. Theories multiplied. Some believe Madeleine was taken by a stranger in a targeted abduction. Others point to a burglary gone wrong, or to the possibility of child trafficking rings operating in the region. Over the years, new suspects have been named and dismissed, but none have been definitively tied to her disappearance. Despite exhaustive investigations spanning more than a decade and the attention of police agencies around the world, Madeleine has never been found. Despite worldwide attention, Madeleine's fate is still unknown. Where you are watching, comment, like, and subscribe for more. Bizarre elevator footage. And a body discovered in a rooftop water tank. In January 2013, 21-year-old Elisa Lam, a Canadian college student, checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Known for its troubled history, a place tied to crime, violence, and urban legend, the hotel was meant to be just another stop on Elisa's solo trip across the West Coast. But within days, she vanished. Her disappearance gained worldwide attention after police released surveillance footage from the hotel's elevator. In it, Elisa appeared disoriented, pressing multiple buttons, stepping in and out of the elevator, hiding in the corner, then gesturing frantically towards someone or something unseen in the hallway. The footage went viral, sparking countless theories and unsettling millions of viewers. For weeks, the search dragged on. Then, in February, hotel guests began to complain about low water pressure and strange taste from the taps. Maintenance workers went to check the rooftop water tanks and found Elisa's body floating inside. She had somehow gained access to the locked roof, climbed into a massive tank, and drowned. The questions multiplied. The doors to the roof were normally locked and alarmed. The tank lids were heavy and difficult to close from the inside. How had Elisa gotten up there unnoticed? The autopsy revealed no signs of physical trauma or assault, but did confirm she had been struggling with mental health issues and was offered prescribed medication. Some concluded her death was a tragic accident brought on by a mental health crisis. Others suspected foul play, or even linked it to the hotel's long, sinister history. Stranger theories leaned toward the paranormal, pointing to eerie coincidences with horror films and outbreaks that unfolded nearby. But the truth remains elusive. Elisa Lam's death endures as one of the most unsettling mysteries of the internet age. Elisa's death remains one of the most unsettling mysteries of the internet age. Where you are watching, comment, like, and subscribe for more. A Christmas Eve fire destroys a family home, but 5 children vanish without a trace. On the night of December 24th, 1945, George and Jenny Sauter gathered with their 10 children in Fayetteville, West Virginia. The Sauters were a close-knit family, celebrating the holiday in their 2-story home. But just after midnight, flames erupted, quickly consuming the wooden structure. George, Jenny, and 4 of the children escaped, but 5 others, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were trapped upstairs. Or so it seemed. By morning, the house was reduced to ashes. Yet as firefighters sifted through the debris, they found no remains of the missing children. No bones, no evidence that 5 young lives had perished in the fire. The absence stunned experts, who insisted that even in the most intense house fires, some trace of human remains should be left behind. As the Sodders searched for answers, unsettling details emerged. A strange phone call had come to the house just before the fire. Their phone line had been cut. The family's ladder, usually propped against the house, had been moved and was missing. George's trucks, parked nearby, refused to start, despite being in working order earlier that day. Over the years, alleged sightings of the missing children were reported across the country. Strangers claimed to have seen them in restaurants, hotels, and boarding schools. A photograph, mailed anonymously to the Sodders decades later, showed a young man resembling their son Louis. Whether it was real or a cruel hoax was never determined. Theories swirled. Some suspected mafia involvement, retaliation against George for his outspoken views. Others believed the children had been abducted in a carefully planned kidnapping. The fire staged as a cover. Officials maintained the children had died in the blaze, but without remains, the Sodders never accepted that explanation. George and Jenny spent the rest of their lives searching, convinced their children had survived. The Sodder parents never stopped searching, convinced their children had survived. Where you are watching, comment, like, and subscribe for more. A beloved TV presenter gunned down in broad daylight outside her own home. On the morning of April 26, 1999, Jill Dando, one of Britain's most recognizable television personalities, returned to her home in Fulham, London. As she approached her doorstep, a gunman pressed a pistol to her head and fired a single shot. She collapsed instantly. By the time neighbors found her, it was too late. The killing shocked the nation. Jill wasn't just a presenter. She was a household name, admired for her warmth and professionalism. Her murder set off one of the largest investigations in British history. Yet, despite the scale of the inquiry, the trail was riddled with dead ends. Early on, suspicion fell on Barry George, a local man with a history of odd behavior and mental health struggles. He was convicted of Jill's murder in 2001, but the evidence was flimsy at best. A single particle of gunshot residue, later discredited. After years behind bars, George was acquitted. The case returned to square one. Theories multiplied. Some believed Jill was targeted by an obsessed fan. Others speculated a professional hit, given a precise, execution-style shooting. Still others pointed to Jill's reporting on the NATO bombing of Serbia, suggesting her death may have been a retaliatory act. Another possibility remained that it was a random killing, committed by someone who vanished into the crowd. But with no firm evidence, the case has lingered unsolved. Jill Dando's life was cut short on an ordinary London street. Her death leaving a void in British broadcasting and a mystery that refuses to fade. To this day, her killer's identity is unknown. Where you are watching, comment, like, and subscribe for more. 11 women's remains discovered in the desert. The work of an unknown killer. In February of 2009, on the desolate outskirts of Albuquerque, New Mexico, a woman walking her dog stumbled across a human bone protruding from the dirt. Police were called, and soon excavation teams uncovered what became one of the largest crime scenes in the state's history. Buried beneath the sand were the remains of 11 women, all hidden in shallow graves. The victims, investigators learned, shared unsettling similarities. Most were young, Hispanic, and struggling with drugs or sex work. Many had been reported missing years earlier. Their disappearances largely overlooked until a grim discovery tied them together. The press dubbed the unknown killer the West Mesa Bone Collector. Despite an extensive investigation, little progress was made. Detectives pursued leads ranging from local Johns to cartel-connected traffickers. Some suspected the killer may have been a serial predator, using Albuquerque's sex trade as hunting grounds. Others whispered about organized crime, that the women may have crossed the wrong network and been silenced together. But no strong suspect ever emerged. The desert became a graveyard of unanswered questions. Police could not determine exactly how the women were killed, nor why the murder stopped, or if the killer had simply moved on. For the families of the victims, the lack of closure remains devastating. To this day, the West Mesa Bone Collector has never been identified. The desert still hides the identity of the bone collector. Where you are watching, comment, like, and subscribe for more. A young boy's body discovered in a cardboard box, nameless, beaten, and abandoned. In February of 1957, In the Fox Chase area of Philadelphia, a hunter stumbled upon a discarded cardboard box. Inside was the body of a little boy, estimated to be between 4 and 6 years old. He was bruised, malnourished, and wrapped in a blanket. There were no clothes, no belongings, and no one to claim him. The discovery shocked the city. Investigators poured every resource into identifying the child, but despite countless leads, tips, and theories, the boy's name remained a mystery. He became known only as a boy in the box, or America's unknown child. Over the decades, detectives chased rumors of orphanages, foster homes, and missing children's reports, yet each path led to another dead end. The case lingered in the public consciousness, becoming one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries. But in 2022, after 65 years, DNA evidence finally gave the boy back his name, Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Authorities confirmed his identity and traced his lineage, but even with this breakthrough, the central question remained unanswered: who killed him and why? Theories have long swirled around the circumstances of his death. Some point to family members who may have hidden years of abuse. Others suggest he may have been trafficked or neglected in an institution before being discarded. The silence that surrounded him for so many decades hints at dark truths still buried. Even with a name, the story of who killed the boy in the box is not over. Where you are watching, comment, like, and subscribe for more. A stretch of wilderness where people step in and never come out. In the shadow of Glastonbury Mountain in southwestern Vermont lies an area that locals have long regarded with unease. Between 1945 and 1950, a string of disappearances gave this region its ominous nickname, the Bennington Triangle. The first to vanish was 74-year-old Midday Rivers, an experienced woodsman who disappeared while hunting in 1945. Despite his deep knowledge of the terrain, searchers found no trace. A year later, in 1946, 18-year-old college student Paula Weldon set out for a hike along a well-traveled trail. She was last seen by other hikers, but never returned. Her disappearance sparked one of the largest searches in Vermont history, yet the forest gave nothing back. In 1949, the mystery deepened. James Tedford, a veteran, boarded a bus headed for Bennington. Witnesses swore he was still seated as the bus neared its destination. But when it arrived, Tedford was gone, his belongings left behind. The following year, 2 more people disappeared, an 8-year-old boy named Paul Jepson and 53-year-old Frida Langer, who went missing on a hike. Unlike the others, Langer's body was eventually found months later, but badly decomposed, with no cause of death ever determined. The cluster of vanishings in such a short span of years has baffled investigators and fueled speculation ever since. Some suggest a serial killer stalked the area. Others point to the possibility of wild animal attacks, though no evidence was ever uncovered. More unusual theories invoke the paranormal, that Glastonbury Mountain holds strange energies, or that something supernatural lurks in its forests. What remains undeniable is a pattern. 5 people, gone without explanation, in the same corner of wilderness. The Bennington Triangle remains one of America's strangest wilderness mysteries. Where you are watching, comment, like, and subscribe for more.